information.
Yeah, there was like kind of nothing else.
Yeah.
However, worldwide, at this time, something was about to like bust open. The Wonderland Club. So when Roy went missing, the British National Crime Squad was leading a multi-country takedown. The co-op included over 1,500 officers and 13 police forces from 13 countries, including many Western European countries, the US, the UK, Australia, and Portugal. The bust was called Operation Cathedral. So this is like the trigger warning-y part. The Wonderland Club had many, many members and many facets to it, including smaller groups within, like one out of California called the Orchid Club. The guy who started it would make his 9-year-old daughter have slumber parties. And she was like, well, I just had one. He'd be like, have more. Like she was like, okay, it's weird. And then he would, when the girls were asleep, like wake one up and assault the girl in a live stream in his computer room.
Jesus Christ.
The Wonderland Club, named after Alice in Wonderland, was an international pedophile ring with hundreds of members who traded footage of assault and rape of children, toddlers, babies, and infants. Usually live streams, but also pictures. The Wonderland Club was closely tied to trafficking, as much of the content came from trafficked children. Though sometimes, like in the Orchid Club, the victims were family members and friends. The Wonderland Club was created by American Peter Giordano, and the Orchid Club was by an American man named Ron Riva. The takedown of the Wonderland Club actually began with the Orchid Club. It came down because of the confession of a couple slumber party goers at Ron's house. So 2 of the girls told their mom that they had been like assaulted. And that's what started everything. That's the start of like Operation Cathedral. Like it's so weird to look at the butterfly effect of some cases like that. So one of the girls said Ron had been assaulting her and that 2 other men were in the room when he was. And it was a computer room. She said that she could hear people talking from the computer making requests. And then the men would listen to the requests and perform them.
It's so fucking disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah,
These
I know.
people like, ugh.
They're the worst of the worst. I mean, it's no wonder that they get attacked in prison. I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. Due to her 9-year-old testimony, 9-year-old being she's 9 years old, the police took Ron's computer, electronics, etc., and that's how they found the Orchid Club. He had saved all of the texts and messages in the club.
A lot of times you hear that they do, though, because if they go down, they're taking everyone with, like,
which is what happened.
Yeah.
He took everyone with him.
Yeah.
The Orchid Club had 20 plus members. And for a lesser sentence, Ron agreed to give up the names of other club members. There were 11 from the US, 1 from Canada, 1 from Australia, and 1 in Finland. And between the 20 or so, they had shared over 50,000 images of children they knew, because part of it being in the club was that you had to take the pictures and videos. Like you couldn't just buy them, and which I'm sure some did, but like you had to do it. All said and done, right? Roy, which I know the names are confusing, Roy and then Rui. I'm not talking about the child. I'm talking about Roy, the guy who started the Orchid Club, pled guilty and got a lesser sentence of 30 years because he had given up a ton of names and information.
I'm glad he at least got 30 years, though. I hate seeing deals, and I get why the police do it, but I hate seeing deals like that where they're like, you'll walk away free. No, motherfucker. No fucking way. Like,
though I will say, I would have, even though that's terrible, if he walked away free, but everyone else and the Wonderland Club came down.
I know. I get why it's done, but then like,
he started it. So no, he didn't start Wonderland, but he started Orchid Club and he needed to go down. And you know what? Kudos to his wife too. I didn't mention this, but she called all of her daughter's friends' moms and said, hey, we just found this out about my now ex-husband. You need to talk to your daughter to make sure that like...
Oh, God, that's a phone call. I can't imagine.
I know, and she did that. Can you believe that? To like moms, she didn't even really know. She only knew because they were friends of her daughters. It's not over. During the Orchid Club investigation, detectives came across 31-year-old Ian Baldock. Ian Baldock, his computer alone had 42,000 images of pedophilia stuff and links to the Wonderland Club, a club with over 145 all-male members. Detectives spent weeks gathering all they could secretly, trying to get the names of every single person in the club. They were like, we want everyone. We want to know who is in this. They learned there were rules to entry. In order to enter the online Wonderland Club and become a member, you had to, 1, be extended an invitation. It was by invitation only. 2, you had to be able to provide 10,000 pictures upon entry that you had taken or videos.
10,000? Mm-hmm. You know what's fucked up too about the invitation part is that means this is being discussed. Like, right, you're having beers with your friend and you're just like, yeah,
this
bro.
This guy seems like you're like testing him. I just
know that you also like little girls.
Yeah, and little boys. And then lastly, you had to be voted in. So they had to agree that you were like secretive enough. And
can we vote all of them to an island and we just dump them like they did back in the day with Australia?
We'll tell them it's Survivor, but then we just never check on them. Well, no, we check on them, but make sure that it's not going
Can we
well.
tell them it's Hunger Games? And
can we start our own Hunger Games? Jeffrey Dahmer would win. Okay. The UK led the investigation and worked closely with all of the countries involved, which were Australia, Austria, Belgium, Finland, France, Sweden, Portugal, Italy, Norway, Germany, and the US.
And themselves. Monsters everywhere.
This part's amazing. Simultaneous raids. I put this in all caps. That's how important it is.
Sorry.
You cheered with a burp. I like it. So simultaneous raids on each suspect's home happened at the same time in every country.
That is amazing because when the police know when they don't do that, they alert someone. Like they have signals, right?
So many people will flee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and even a random text like, yo, bro, like something.
Or delete all the stuff so they can't get
like anything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they were able to arrest 126 people around the world at the exact same time.
That's amazing.
I get chills thinking 126 was almost everyone in the club.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I also think that maybe that's like a police raid flash mob, like the biggest flash mob ever, but it's a police raid. Okay, maybe not. But the Wonderland Club doesn't stop there. So over 750,000 pictures, almost 1 million, and 1,800 videos of children being assaulted existed that they found. Probably more than that, but that's what they found. Who were the children? You know, in the all these pictures and videos. Some were the slumber party girls. They found images of children aged from 2 months old to prepubescent.
Yeah, that's what's really sickening and disturbing is how many parents' kids were included in this and they don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because they were babies or toddlers or whatever.
Like, how are you going to know that?
Many children were seen repeatedly in images and videos. The police could only identify 17 of over 1,263 different children they could make out in the videos. Somebody had the terrible job of having to watch and grab screenshots and try to crop the faces of the children and clear them up.
Even when I just watch like Law and Order, which is obviously fictional, but based on stuff that really happens, when they have scenes like that where they have to go watch those tapes, I'm like, look, no,
how could you? You have
like,
to. But, So they found the clearest screenshots they could of each unique child they could find, and they placed them in protected binders and sent them to Switzerland to keep them like secret so they couldn't get out again. In the hopes of someday being able to identify more children, they could only identify 17 of them. Philomena, Roy's mom, received a phone call. She and her husband were being sent to Switzerland to look at these pictures. They told Philomena that she was about to see some very disturbing images, but that they needed her to look through pages of nearly 2,000 babies, toddlers, and children. So she did, and that's when she saw it, a picture of Rui Pedro. She was filled with hope that he was still alive, but also she was tormented because Rui had been one of the nearly 2,000 children abused by the Wonderland Club and one of the 17 discovered.
So it wasn't just like family, like friends of your kids.
They were abducting children.
Okay. Oh, God.
Yeah. Which they weren't 100. I don't think they
find
knew.
Out where they were keeping them or?
No. They still have only identified 17 of these children.
So they don't even know where they were kept.
Nope. They don't know if they were one person keeping them or
there's 500,
a ring of them.
Yeah, there's more. This is still going on.
Well, and think about it. There were 142 members that they could find. Well, they found 126 of them.
Oh, there's thousands
they
others.
They knew of 142 of them. If there's over 1,600 children or 1,200, whatever it is, they've got to be trafficking children.
Yeah.
They have no idea where any of the children were, except the ones they were able to identify that were family members or Rui. Despite what Alfonso had said in the beginning, the guy who obviously had something to do with Rui's disappearance, the police were unable to pin him on anything, due in large to just like a shithole of an investigation. This was a huge media frenzy in Portugal, and everyone attacked like how they handled Rui's case. The Wonderland Club was a frenzy in itself, but like Roy's case specifically, like everyone was like, yeah, they didn't get anything on Alfonso Dias, who multiple people saw take Roy. Mm-hmm. They had monetary evidence of that. Well, evidence, like speaking of monetary transactions. And Roy even said, close the borders. He's probably far away. Like obviously something happened. Mm-hmm. They didn't get him. So Alfonso was acquitted of any involvement in Rui Pedro's disappearance in 2012 due to lack of evidence. However, in 2014, they were able to charge him with corruption of a minor for trying to force him to have sex with a prostitute, which was Alcina. So thank you, Alcina. He was sentenced to 3 years and he got out in 2. many of the Wonderland members, which Alfonso was not a member of that we know of, but obviously he sold Roy to someone who was a member of the Wonderland Club. Most people got 2 to 5 years ish. Some people got 30 if they were like the big guys, like Roy.
2 to 5 years is a fucking joke.
Yeah. So Rui has never been found, and police strongly believe he was murdered, and they actually declared him deceased in 2019 when he would have been 31.
I hate to say this, but I imagine that they only want children. So when they hit a certain age, they can't just let them go. I imagine they murder most of them, which is terrifying.
The other thought I have is that there's a theory that they changed his name to Billy, and like maybe some of those kids, there's no females really in the club, because despite what you want to think, it's usually men who are the attackers for assault. 99% of assault is performed by men. I wonder too, because somebody found a photo of an older guy in his 30s who looks exactly like Rui, but like old. Maybe they brainwash them and they become members of the Wonderland Club.
Yeah.
Like that can happen. The family still blames the disparity between Roy's case and the investigation of Madeleine McCann's. Like they blame that 100% on why Roy wasn't found, when obviously like someone tipped them off. And they closed the borders for Madeleine. They did. They checked every car. So that's what the family thinks they could have found him, because that's obviously where he went. Nobody knows where Madeleine is, which is tragic, but we know where Roy was. Well, not where, but how Roy was. And that's the Wonderland Club.
That's terrifying.
It's a terrible story. We need more beer.
Yeah. So our next beer has Kim Possible on it. It's not really Kim Possible, but it's someone who looks like Kim Possible.
Do you think they were trying to make it look like Kim Possible?
I don't know. She's in like a weird green suit, and she's holding what kind of looks like a pack of cigarettes in her hand. She has glasses and she has like a headset on. The beer is called Noob from Odd 13 Brewing in Lafayette, Colorado. Noob is a hazy pale ale hopped with Mosaic and El Dorado. The hops impart flavors of candied orange, blueberry, and tangerine. This is an unfiltered beer. Haze and some amount of settling are expected.
All right. I'm excited. I just noticed all your nail polish is gone. And I'm sure it's been gone a long time, but I just noticed.
It has, but I painted my toes red.
Cute. They match your little shorts.
I give myself way more than you.
It's okay.
Because I like me more than I like you. Just kidding.
It's fine.
Cheers. I think I would like that if we had this one first, but it falls flat after the first one.
That was my first thought. The first one was so complex with flavor. This one is just not as, it's delicious, but it's truly more of a starter beer or one to eat with a meal. Whereas the other one is one that really sits on its own.
So you picked the wrong one first.
Maybe. It smells like Furbies.
Anyways.
Okay. That cackle. I'm excited to hear. Caitlin's kind of been talking up her case the last couple days.
And she has, and I hope it lives up.
Well, and apparently she only told me one thing, and that it starts in like near the town I grew up in. So I'm like trying to think of what it could be, but I just don't know.
You have no idea, do you?
I don't.
Okay, good.
I made some guesses, but they were wrong.
They were very wrong. I'm going to start with my sources, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
You might figure it out with my sources, though.
Okay.
So my source, I watched a documentary that I'd seen years ago, and I rewatched it when I was writing this. It's a documentary called If a Tree Falls by Marshall Curry. You can find it on YouTube. Okay. You can watch the whole thing. Wikipedia, The Intercept, an article by Eileen Brown, the FBI Archives and Testimony, and the Homeland Security website and the Terrorism Archives. Does that give you any guess?
No.
Okay, I am going to talk about the Earth Liberation Front, aka, well, not aka, eco-terrorism.
I actually don't know anything about this.
Oh, okay. This episode is very different than anything I think we have covered before, which I think the case you just talked about is too, but this is something that I was fascinated by and super enthralled in when I watched If a Tree Falls a couple years ago. And this is honestly something that I'm unsure where I lie on and how I feel, in the sense that I think the biggest question around this whole case worldwide is it terrorism? So
I'll tell you and we'll settle it after all.
Okay. I am going to say as a note, this is a giant case. The Earth Liberation Front, or ELF as they're known, or ELF as some people call them, the elves. I'll talk about how it started and stuff, but I'm mostly going to talk about it in this country and in the Oregon area specifically, because that's what really led to them being called terrorists.